Now switch gears. Do you know your rights as a pedestrian? We want to talk a bit about that today. And the provisions put in the law for you. Where do your rights end and the rights of a motorist begin? These are some of the questions we will discuss today. After data from the National Traffic Commandant revealed that 1/3 of those who lost their lives on the roads in terms of road carnage since 1st January were pedestrians. And joining me in studio to talk a little bit about that is Nyaga George Kelvin. He's the director and a founder of Road Safety Volunteers. Before we talk about the rights of pedestrians, we just have to get his views about the state of the road this morning. Let's put up some of those pictures again. And Nyaga, you, and I think I can tell our viewers this, you were supposed to be here at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
You got here at about 10.
Yes.
Tell me about the state of the road. What's it looking like out there? I got here rather early. It hadn't started raining by the time I was getting here.
I've been on the road from Kiambu Road at around 6 a.m. And this is the time I'm getting
6 a.m.?
Yes. There was a very bad accident early morning, so I had to pass by there and check on the state of the road. Then from there, quite a number of sections are really flooded, including Wangari Maathai Road, some places around Uhuru Highway. So motorists have to drive very slowly. If you are joining State House Road from Uhuru Highway around University roundabout, again, the situation is not very good. And I think motorists need to be very careful. Okay. They need to understand that anything above 2 feet in terms of depth of the water is able to carry even a big vehicle.
What are you seeing about the depth of the water that we're seeing in some of these pictures? Do you have any estimates of?
Like that one, whatever we are seeing right now is already, that is too dangerous. It is able to sweep that particular vehicle. Okay. So we are talking of most of the places above 2 feet, which is quite dangerous.
Okay, first things first. So in terms of roadworthiness of vehicles, what should motorists be looking at the moment right now? Wipers need to be in check, tires need to have the right lining, etc. You can talk a bit about that?
Yeah, then you also need to ensure that your brake lights are working well, of course, so that the other motors behind you can be able to see clearly when you are braking. And you also switch on your fog lights so that you are visible even from the driving mirrors of the drivers who are ahead of you. And AC needs to be working. Some of us have to drive with handkerchiefs and towels and tissue papers to wipe our vehicles from inside. So
you're right, because it gets rather fogged up.
Yeah. So you also need to ensure that your AC is working properly. And if you are not sure of the road that you are using, then you better not attempt, because sometimes you may end up entering into a drainage, manholes, some of them are open, and such kind of dangers.
We knew that the rains were coming again this week.
Yes.
We had a break from last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the weather was good. Could the county government have done something, try and unblock some of the drainage? Because so it rained like this a week ago, different substances were thrown into the drainage, so it's obviously clogged. And that's why this time we are seeing pictures that look a bit worse than what we saw last time.
One of the problems I've seen is also the issue of encroachment, because you find some of the places where we've been talking of flooding, then people have built in areas where the water is supposed to pass through. And when water doesn't have enough road or space, then it ends up ending up in the wrong places. We also need to look at what we throw, the garbage we throw out of the roads, and that is part of what blocks those drainages. Some of the drainages are not well done, and we need to work on that. And people need to keep off from the road so that the drainages are done in the right sizes, because some of the places, I know hookers have done structures, some of the places buildings have come up. So even when the government or the county government or even the authorities want to unblock the drainages, then it becomes
a court case.
Yes.
We've had a lot of discussion about the areas around T-Mall, and I don't want to speak about any structure in case some of the matters are in court. But there's been a discussion that some of those, what was previously fields, were water drainage areas. Buildings have now been put up there. I just want to back up what you said, and now we can see clearly what is happening on Langata Road, around the T-Mall roundabout as well. So the government needs to act rather quickly is the message I'm getting from you. Very true. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Today we want to talk a little bit about, do you know your rights as a pedestrian? Do you understand the traffic laws? Do you understand how you'll be protected in case there's an accident or that sort of thing, and that's what we want to get to at the moment. We've also invited a lawyer to join us, but he'll not be able to join us today. You can understand the kind of weather conditions we're having today has affected the program a little bit, but I want to get some thoughts here from my guest here in studio. We had some statistics that were released by the traffic commandant that showed us that pedestrians are #1 when it comes to those who have lost their lives because of road carnage. Not passengers, not drivers, but pedestrians.
Yes.
And we had you here about 3 weeks ago, and actually at the end of the interview you told me I haven't talked about pedestrians. I can give you a chance now to tell us a bit about that. We'll also be going to the counties to find out if pedestrians understand what the law says about that. But just go ahead and give us your opening statement on the same.
One, if you look at the data that I shared last time from NTSA, in terms of fatalities that we had as of, I think, 27th February,
yes,
of around 488 deaths.
Okay.
176 of those were pedestrians. That means that is almost, let's say, close to 50% of that, or that, between that and 50%, which is quite a high number. And one of the reasons, remember me talking about the 80% as not being, as not blaming the motorists or the road users, but blaming the systems and the structures and how our road designs are done. And if you look at a road like Mombasa Road, for example, you find that most of the places lack footbridges. That's quite a big challenge, and that's why that road records a very high number of fatalities when it comes to pedestrian.
Yes.
You go to a road like North Airport Road. It's a very small road, a very small section actually, and a few years ago, before the footbridge was done, that road used to record the highest number of fatalities in Nairobi. Yet it's a very small section.
Yes.
But when the footbridge was done, that reduced, and you still find, even today, pedestrian crossing right below the footbridge.
In fact, it's interesting you've said that. Let me give you a statistic. In January last year, NTSA announced the number of pedestrian fatalities in Nairobi had dropped to 299, representing a 40% year-on-year decrease. Why did this happen? They say this happened after the installation of safety panels on key roads, which forced people crossing to use bridges, to use road crossing, including footbridges, hence the fall in fatalities, because pedestrians want to cross the road anywhere they feel is necessary.
I think I concur with that, because I've also been so much involved when it comes to marshalling of the traffic in terms of the pedestrian. Like you find that around Nyayo Stadium, there are marshals who had been deployed there by NTSA. Other areas like Bellevue, Imara Daima, where footbridges were done recently, the 3 footbridges that were done. And there is also the wall that they did, which was a very nice idea, which at least barred now pedestrians from just crossing aimlessly, and they were forced to use the footbridges. So I think it makes a lot of sense when they say that there is a reduction in pedestrians fatalities, and we are heading in the right direction if we continue like that. But there is a big problem when it comes to the part of enforcement and the pedestrians themselves playing their part.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we had invited a lawyer to come and talk about what the law says in terms of pedestrian rights. Because of the weather today, he has informed me he wouldn't be able to make it, but we'll try and play you what the law says a little bit, and hopefully you'll get better understanding even as we carry on with this discussion. We don't just want to focus on Nairobi. We know we have, Citizen Extra is being watched across the country. Let's first take you to Kwale and see whether residents there understand pedestrian rights, and whether the infrastructure in place also helps them so that they are able to be safe even as they use the same areas as drivers, etc. Nikki Gitonga has that update for us. Nikki, good morning. I'm sure, I don't know about the weather there. First things first, you can give us an update on the weather in Kwale County before you tell us a little bit about pedestrian rights there, whether residents there understand how and where the law protects them.
Well, good morning, Wahiga. We are at Ukunda Junction here. This is a road that connects Kenya with the Republic of Tanzania. But as I just said, today it's still sunny in Kwale County. We are yet to receive rain, but the weatherman said by the end of this month we are going to receive some showers here in Kwale. But you have just said that we just want to sample some of the views from the pedestrians here in Kwale County to whether they know their rights concerned to the road usage. And with me here, some of the locals here are just going to tell us more about it. Maybe the cameraman can just pan to show this is the main road that connects Kenya with Tanzania. It's also the beach road where all those beautiful hotels are found. So pengine tupate tu kifupi tu tueleze. Unajua haki zako kama mpita njia wewe?
Haki zangu mimi nazijua. Lakini jambo la kwanza hapa Ukunda yafaa watuweke bumps katika hii Lunga highway. Kwa sababu kuna ajali nyingi ambazo zafanyika, lakini kukiwa na ile bumps ita control accident hapa. Alafu jambo la pili, kuna zebra crossing, lakini inahuzunisha sana kuona kuwa madereva wetu hawajui kutumia hiyo zebra crossing. Utakuwa tunapata watu wengi wanavuka, lakini magari yashafika mara moja, kumaanisha tayari accident ishafanyika. Hasa ningependa pia kuongezea kwa wakienda zile driving schools zao wanafundishwa vizuri kuhusiana na zebra crossing.
Na pengine kutokana na vile kwamba hakuna zebra crossing na labda pia sehemu zingine hakuna yale matuta, je, umeshuhudia ajali kutokea mara kwa mara pengine katika hii barabara?
Ni mwezi tu uliopita kulikuwa na accident ilifanyika hapa. Kuna gari lilitoka huku beach kufika hapa likaenda direct mpaka katika vibanda vya wenyewe kule. Kumaanisha hapo kungekuwa na zile bumps zetu ingezuia, ama kungekuwa na ile zebra crossing ingezuia.
Acha tupate pengine nawe utaanza tu kwa kifupi majina, alafu tuuliza, je, unajua haki zako za kimsingi kama mtumizi wa barabara?
Mimi naitwa Ali Mwasina na pia haki zangu kidogo nazitambua za kibarabara. Lakini ukija ukiangalia upande wa Ukunda yetu, hii sasa imeanza kuwa tauni kubwa na lazima madereva waangalie mazingira ya raia. Lakini unakuta hapa kama mambo na tuk-tuks hakuna mpangilio wa kueleweka. Alafu sana pia kwenye zebra cross unapata katika hii barabara zebra cross ni moja ya hii barabara kuelekea beach. Na hiyo pia bado kama madereva hawajajua muhimu wake. Kozi hapo unaweza kuwa unapita na gari kataka kugonga hapo. Alafu kiji ukiangalia main road ya kwenda Lunga road unapata exactly mambo ni hayo. Hasa inakuwa ni shida sana kuangalia mtazamo wa hii kona hii hapa beach.
Dada, pengine unajua haki zako za kimsingi kama mtumizi wa barabara?
Lakini huku kitu ya kwanza barabara ni ndogo sana. Ya pili magari ni mingi sana, tuktuk kwanza. Wapanua mabarabara.
Asante. Wahiga, as you have just heard from some of the pedestrians here in Kwale County, they are faulting the road because some areas of this road do not have zebra crossing, and if they are there, some of the road users the drivers are ignoring the road usage or ignoring those zebra crossing where they're supposed to give way to the pedestrians who are crossing. And even despite this road being a busy road, there's no footbridge, so they're saying this could be one of the reasons why so many accidents are happening here in Kwale. Back to you in studio, Wahiga.
Thank you so much, Nikki Gitonga, for that particular update from Kwale County. We'll also be getting you an update from John Wanyama in Uasin Gishu County as well. So it seems that there are several challenges from what we've heard from those residents. First of all, they are heaping the blame on probably the county government. They are saying in terms of the setting up of zebra crossing, making roads wide ITC, they see a challenge there. But at the same time, also our correspondent has acknowledged there are a lot of residents who don't want to use the designated areas for crossing the road. They prefer to cross the road anywhere, and that is a challenge. Let me get a reaction from Nyaga on the same. You've heard what some residents have to say. Your thoughts on that?
One of the things that we need to understand, especially drivers and even the cyclists, is that zebra crossings are meant to be respected. However much most of the places lack them, any area that is built, that is within, like we've seen around Kwale, any area that has very high human activity, then your speed should not exceed 50 kilometers per hour. If it's within a city or within a town, then your speed should not exceed 30 kilometers per hour. Why some of these laws have been put in place is because there's that understanding that there will be so many people crossing. Some may not be very careful. Some may be children. Others may have mental challenges. So you need to put all these factors in place so that in case somebody happens to jump on the road, then you are able to brake. Another thing about the zebra crossing, drivers need to understand that you don't necessarily respect somebody who is stepping on that particular, those particular white lines. Allowance of plus 50 meters the other side, you need to expect pedestrian also crossing. Everybody may not be able to merge at those white lines, so you need to expect pedestrian within that area. And that's why that sign is normally put around 50 meters before the lines and 50 meters on the other side, so that again you are able to see it when you are 50 meters away. So you need to do those calculations, and the issue of bumps may not be actually a solution. You drive between Embu.
You heard them talking about bumps.
Yes. The issue of bumps, if you drive from here to Meru, that highway has the highest number of bumps I've seen in all the highways in Kenya. And what happens is that the locals will wake up in the morning, realize that their children are dying, they are being hit in very high numbers, and they erect makeshift bumps which have no signage. When I go there, I see these bumps, I write to Kenha or maybe to Kura, and I tell them this is going to be very dangerous. And when they try to
understand where the danger is.
The danger is the makeshift bumps are not professional.
Okay.
Some are done using stones.
Okay.
Then they lack signage. The size is not standard. So there are two ways here. I talk to the authorities and tell them, look, there are makeshift bumps here. There are two ways. You assess whether there is need for bumps and you do it professionally, or we remove them, or you have them removed. And
but what do you, okay, so let me put myself in the shoes of residents there. This Kenha you're talking about, the authorities are taking too long. Children are dying here every day.
That's why I'm saying the solution doesn't need to be bumps. Otherwise, we'll have bumps from here to Mombasa, you'll have bumps here to Kisumu, you'll
everywhere
have bumps
and anywhere.
So it is the drivers to understand that any area there is a shopping center, just slow down. If you realize somebody is about to cross the road, give them way. That is where you are supposed to drive slowly in those build-up areas. And the Traffic Act Cap 4 is very clear on that. But the reason why now residents will take, or the public will take laws into their hands, is because they realize everybody is zooming at 100 kilometers per hour. And here maybe in the morning, in the evening, their children going to and from school. So we contribute, or drivers will contribute to those actions, and at the same time, we need now the enforcement part from the government, whereby even those speed checks, we should have more in shopping centers where we are having these pedestrians dying at very high numbers.
You think that will be a solution? Let me take you back to 2014. The Director General of NTSA warned pedestrians crossing roads at non-designated areas that they would be arrested and charged in the court of law. And they did arrest some and charge quite a few, if you look at some of the statistics. We don't hear that much nowadays. Should we be going back to directives like that one?
Yeah, I think we should. And before we go to that, we need to do a lot of education.
Okay.
To the pedestrians.
You've actually gone into my next question.
Yes, we need to educate. We need to educate the public a lot on what it means to cross the road in the right place and in the wrong place. Last week, there was a fatal accident at Muthaiga, just below the footbridge. I can tell you, if you go to Pangani today, Pangani police station, almost every week, we have at least one or more deaths just below the footbridge at Muthaiga, mostly in the evening and at night. If you go to Githurai again, we had another fatal accident last week. People are crossing just at the exit instead of going to the underpass or to the tunnel. So we need a lot of education, and like road safety volunteers, this year we are doing a lot of road shows and campaigns in terms of educating the pedestrian and the public on when it comes to issues of crossing, so that we see whether these numbers can also reduce, because we are stakeholders in road safety. So the pedestrians need to understand that. Then number two, now we'll go into enforcement. And one of the challenges now when it comes to enforcing the issue of pedestrians crossing, you go to a place like Roysambu, where Kenha has even tried to put in laser wire, they have tried to do barriers, and you find even people coming at night and vandalizing them, so that they're able the pedestrians are able to access that point and access the illegal bus stops that are there. Again, if you have enforcement there, you have to be very careful. Because when a pedestrian crosses the first side of the highway and they realize that they are about to be arrested, what happens? They'll run away.
They'll run away.
So you are likely now to end up killing somebody, or somebody is likely to end up committing some kind of suicide, and now people demonstrating and blaming the authorities. So it's an issue that is very sensitive. I know like 2014-2015 July, Mombasa Road, there was a lot of enforcement around Nyayo. People were arrested, and even in Maradaima when the footbridge was done.
Okay.
So we need a lot of enforcement, but we need to start with education. Okay.
I want to read a couple of SMSs here on the same topic before I pose another question to you. Let me see if I can be able to pull that up. I've seen almost 3. We had asked pedestrians, what rights do you have as a pedestrian on Kenyan roads? Do you know them? Do you understand them? And this is what some of you had to say. Omusugu Charles on Twitter says, I have a right to walk on the pavement. No one should tamper with that. Tweeting from Busia. And another person says, perhaps I have a right to real sidewalks and real walkways. What we have at the moment is, he's calling it a ninja warrior challenge. People, pedestrians, are forced to balance on poles over muddy water, skip to uneven spaces, rocks, and sort all that to avoid getting dipped in garbage and things like that. Where are you, county government, and of course the roads authority? So they are saying, fine, you're telling pedestrians to stick to the sidewalks, the pavement, but look at the pavement like today. You know, what are the rights of a pedestrian today with, on Langata Road or on some of the roads that we've seen as well? They have to go into a whole different almost survival mode.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that? Even as I pose another question to you, NTSA on Monday launched a fresh training for all drivers in a 3-month exercise across the country. Tie this in with the pedestrians. Should NTSA refocus also on pedestrians? Should they have that as a key pillar? Or do you really think what they're doing now is going to sort out where we are? Because at the end of the day, as we talk about this, we want to bring down the numbers of those who lose their lives on the road.
One of the things I think we need to work on is the change in terms of attitude.
Okay. You're not the first guest to tell me this.
Yes.
We've been talking about this the
If
whole
you
week.
drive around the university, which I've used this morning, you realize that when the traffic was on standstill, and before I've done very serious clips on there, the matatus mostly have converted the pedestrian into a highway.
The pedestrian walkway.
Yes, the walkway. And these areas are supposed to be clear. We are not supposed to put some poles, some pillars to stop drivers from accessing them. They are meant for maybe somebody who is cycling, for somebody who is pushing a cart, and somebody who is walking. And the other problem I have seen is whenever, again, the authorities do the walkways, they are converted into markets. This is where the hawkers now will invade, put in the structures, and again, you are forced to walk on the road, which is very dangerous. And when the authorities try to maybe push these people out of the walkways, the issue becomes, where do we get our daily bread? And sometimes I was talking to some vendors and I was asking them, by the end of the day, if you argue that you have a right to do your vending on the walkways, then tomorrow you'll also do your vending on the highway because you are looking for income. So, and these are the same people, the low-income earners, who by the end of the day will walk, whose children maybe are walking to and from school, to church and all those. So we all need to understand and change our attitude. However much you are looking for a daily bread, then you need to understand that the walkway is to protect the lives of other pedestrians and other members of public.
Okay.
Yes.
In 2015, World Health Organization declared that Kenya has weak laws for safeguarding road users such as pedestrians and motorcyclists. This was in the 2015 Global Status Report on Road Safety. It showed that Kenya had almost no laws to protect pedestrians. When you look at the laws that we have, at least the ones that you're aware of, do you think more needs to be done? Do you think, are there recommendations you would have if you know, the authorities concerned are listening to this program?
I think the laws are there. The major problem has been the ratio when it comes to enforcement. There may be laws, but two things. Enforcement, and the second thing is the fines, again, are not quite punitive. We need to make those fines punitive.
Even to pedestrians who might break the law?
Yes, because somebody knows today, if I hit a pedestrian, I'll go and give an excuse. You know, a boda guy just joined the highway, I saw an animal, I was trying to avoid hitting another pedestrian, all those kinds of stories, and they get away with them, and tomorrow they are still driving, but somebody has lost their life. So we need to have punitive fines in terms of how much are we being charged? Is it just 100,000? Most of the people will afford that money if you've bought a car to save yourself. Somebody may not be jailed probably. So the fines need to be higher, and then the enforcement part of it. Can we even make use of clips? If somebody can prove that you are endangering other people's lives, let action be taken on that particular motorist.
You've raised an interesting point about clips, and they're called, some are called dash cams that you put at the front of your car. But let me ask you this question. There are those who say that the law really protects pedestrians in an accident where a pedestrian is hit by a car, and yet what happens when the pedestrian was at the wrong place, or the pedestrian just jumped onto the road on a busy highway like Mombasa Road? How do you navigate between that territory? What's your experience on that?
That's a very big challenge. Last year in December, 2 friends called me. And those were very painful calls, because when somebody calls you and tells you, Nyaga, I have a problem. What is the problem? I hit and killed a pedestrian. One, I think, did it in Embu, another one did it in Sagana. And it was quite painful. And the first thing is, the problem is with the drivers. If you hit a pedestrian, first you are to blame. That is what the Act says. And your vehicle has to undergo through inspection and all those kind of things. You have to pay a cash bill. Until now, you start arguing it how innocent you are, which now becomes,
so you're guilty?
Yes.
And you have to prove your innocence?
Yes. So if you have hit a pedestrian and probably by bad luck you've killed them, then you have now to start juggling with the legal issues until now the case is determined, which is quite a challenge. And drivers will tell you the law tend to favor the pedestrian. Again, the pedestrian will tell you the law tends to favor the drivers. Okay. So I think it's a 50-50 situation. but we need to have a look at it. If I hit a pedestrian just below the footbridge, this is a place I'm supposed to do 100 kilometers
under the footbridge, for example.
You are supposed to do 100 kilometers per hour. Then here is somebody crossing. Then maybe a police officer tells you, you are not supposed to have hit this pedestrian. I mean, you are doing 100. You know, if it's within a built-up areas, an area maybe with a school, an area with a shopping center, that is different. But now this is a highway, like Mombasa Road. How do you expect people to brake when they are doing such speeds? And that is why, again, I also want to tell drivers, that is one reason why you realized NTSA was so much into insisting on the 50 kilometers per hour. Within around 25 kilometers to
avoid
approach,
such discussions.
To avoid now such kind of scenarios.
Fair enough. Let me bring in John Wanyama now from Uasin Gishu. We're exploring the rights of pedestrians. Do they understand? What does the law say about the safety of pedestrians on our roads? Remember, this whole week we've been talking about the transport sector. On Monday, we were talking about border operators. On Tuesday, we're talking about the matatu sector. Yesterday, we switched a little bit, talk about the SGR in our Citizen Extra business segment. Today, it's about you, the pedestrian, and of course, we want your feedback. 22422 is our SMS line, and you can talk to us on social media as well. The hashtag is Citizen Extra, and the hashtag is Transport Sector KE. Let's now bring in John Wanyama. John, good morning. Let us know a little bit about this particular topic that we're discussing in studio, pedestrian rights, from the perspective of Eldoret residents.
Indeed, Wahigas, today we look whether Kenyans know their right or the rights or safety on the road. Today I'm talking to another special man here in Uasin Gishu County, a visually impaired person, and we want to just to get an experience of him, whatever he knows. Does he know his rights on the road, and maybe what are some of the challenges as a visually impaired person go through when he is trying to cross the road. As you know, it's so sad, Wahiga, that most people who die on road accidents are those people or road users on foot, or if you like, pedestrians. So today I would like to talk to this guy also. I know it's difficult for him also when he was trying to cross the road. Mr. Sebastian Amoy. Mr. Sebastian, if you can just walk close to me here and talk to us briefly. I will hold a mic for you. Thank you. Please don't move from your destination. Thank you. Kindly, if you can start telling us maybe, do you know you are right on our...
Yes, I know it's on the roads. And Wanyama, as you put it, it's pretty bad. It's total crap on our roads. You know, when you are walking on the roads, you be aware. You are mingling, you are interacting with people like us, people in the dark world, people who are not hearing, and it is total mediocrity because you get on the pedestrian lane, there is a motorcycle coming and it is hooting, beep, beep. Other people are running from this side, you know, hitting you. You have a white cane. It is total crap. What I'm saying is that we all need to be sober on our roads. You all need to be sober, be very observative. Look where you are going, know who is coming next to you, who is in your behind. If you see somebody like me with a white cane, know that this is a visually impaired person. This person is in the darkness. And for our drivers, you see somebody is blind like me, is walking on the streets, he's crossing, maybe on a zebra crossing, and you are just coming, it's like you are late. Where are you rushing to? And you know, people who are blind like us, when you hoot, when you tease them, they get scared. So, Wanyama, is that bad. It is total ignorance. And I'm a disability teacher. I give hope to hopeless people with disability. The most largest number of clients I've ever met are causes of the road. Even I'm just walking next to the referral. If I take you to accidents ward, you will get that those border accident victims, the road accident victims, those who were hit from behind as they were walking on the pedestrian lane by the motorcycle which was coming from behind, is totally alarming. It's bad. What we need to, what I'm saying as a person with visual impairment is that be aware that you are using these roads with us. We need your eyes. Maybe I'm going to hit a pothole, and you know our roads are full of environmental barriers for people with disability. We need your eyes. Yeah.
Maybe, Seba, how should we use this road, especially as pedestrians or foot users on this road?
Yeah, to be aware of our traffic roads, especially when you are walking on the road. Where should you be, on which side of the road should you be walking to? Like me, I like as a pedestrian walking and facing the oncoming vehicles and border so that my guide can be aware of anything coming, and not. Well, I like walking on the right of the road, right hand side of the road. As they drive toward their left hand side, they are seeing me, so that driver could be able to see me that is a blind man. You see, and we all need to be conscious. You know, two wrongs will not make a right. If I'm doing something wrong, and maybe in my case I'm blind, and you are seeing that this person is blind and is doing this, you don't do also wrongly. We cannot do two wrong on the road. Two wrongs will never bring a right on the road.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, maybe lastly, Seb, as a person with a disability,
yes.
Briefly, what are some of the challenges you encounter, especially when you are crossing this road?
This road is for the drivers, and that is why we are doing a blind walk in Nairobi, and the sooner we are bringing it to Eldoret. They are conscious drivers. The most worst challenge for a blind person or a challenged girl on a wheelchair or whatever, you are crossing and a driver want to interrupt you, and you are crossing the road. He's hooting, he's coming by force. I'm telling you, it is very embarrassing. Itakushtua, utasikia roho inadunda kwa sababu you are crossing, huyu anakuja na gari mbio na mahoni pip, and you are in between the road, you don't know where to go. Uende right, uende left, you are not seeing, and then you think you are now being crushed by that vehicle. So what I would request drivers on our roads is that ukiona mtu mlemavu makelele, noise to people with visual impairment ni hatari, kwa sababu ukimshtua na honi pip, anashtuka, unapata na tremor. For ladies, they'll shiver and even sometimes collapse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Seba, for finding time to talk to us on Citizen Extra. Yeah. Thank you very much. Wahiga, as you've heard, those are some of the challenges some of the pedestrians are going through, especially here in Uasin Gishu County. And as Sebastian has said, most of pedestrians in this county do not know this, maybe their rights or how to cross the road. You will find them crossing just anyhow and without looking whether they are oncoming car. And you find, Wahiga, that's another place maybe this goes to those managing these roads, is that like in Uasin Gishu County, where for road pedestrians are supposed to cross, you'll find that there are no well labeled so that a pedestrian can know that this is my designated place where I'm supposed to be crossing. So Wahiga, we are still looking into this issue and many other more from Uasin Gishu County, and for once we find them, we will not hesitate to come back to you and inform our viewers wherever you are. Back to you, Wahiga.
Thank you so much, John Wanyama, and thank you to that gentleman for sharing his story with us, giving us a new perspective to pedestrians like that one who's visually impaired, and they face even greater challenges than a pedestrian who does not have that visual impairment. Let me read some of your SMSs now, because something is coming out quite clearly. One of you here, you don't give us your name, but you say, along the new Outer Ring Road, all pedestrian walkways have been grabbed by Juakali artisans doing furniture, e.g. Donholm Umoja section, and also hawkers. That's a major challenge. Pedestrians are saying they can't access those walkways because of hawkers. And it's not just there. Someone says here, what is being done in areas where hawkers have invaded the roads? Naivasha Road, Waiyaki Way at Kangemi. What do you expect pedestrians to do on those sections? They have to walk on the road. Someone else, GMK, you say Kahawa West, pedestrians walk on the roads. Hawkers have taken over sidewalks. What do they expect us to do? And let me see if I can get one or two quick tweets for you. In terms of the rights of pedestrians, this is what some of you have to say on Twitter as well. I was reading SMSs. Let me read. Saddam Rajab says he knows that the right to not cross the road when the traffic light turns green, it is very unsafe. Yet many of us assume that traffic lights are there for motorists alone. They're also there for pedestrians. That's very important. Someone says they know they have the right. This is Raymond Minor. I have the right to cross the road only where there is a pedestrian crossing, and I think that's quite appropriate. Well, another person says here, Sami Keep Committee, we have no rights as pedestrians. You jump, he says, like frogs to escape floods. A car comes, flashes seawater to you. We suffer though we pay taxes for better Kenyan roads. I'm very disgusted. This is Sami Kip from committee. Let me give you 1 minute just to give us your closing comment on everything that you've heard today and the feedback we're hearing from people watching the program.
Every driver and every cyclist needs to understand that not everybody drives, but everybody at one time walks. So we all need to respect these pedestrians, because tomorrow somebody else will respect you, will respect or stop for your child, for your wife, for your maybe relative who has physical challenges and all that. And that way we are going to make our roads safer. Then for the authorities, we hope that we are going to have more footbridges, we are going to have more enforcement, and
and to deal with encroachment on those footbridges as well.
Let even if it's Kenya on the highways, let part of that enforcement be left to the county governments, so that now we don't have stories like these we are hearing about Kaha West and other areas.
Okay, then Naivasha Road,
yes,
Wayaki
let even the hawkers understand, however much they are looking for income, then we cannot risk the lives of other people because we are looking for income. Let them go to the right places.
Fair enough.
Let them leave the sideways so that pedestrians are able to walk safely.
Thank you so much. That's Nyaga George Kelvin, Director and Founder of Road Safety Volunteers. Let's bring in now on the line now an Advocate of the High Court, George Kidhi, to briefly explain to us what the law says about pedestrians or how the law protects pedestrians. Bwana Kidhi, I trust you hear me loud and clear?
I do, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I know we were supposed to have a more elaborate discussion around this, but in a nutshell, what does the law say, the Traffic Act, about pedestrians? How are they protected?
Well, the law designates part of the law that protects both parties and both users of the road. The pedestrians are protected in the designated places that they're supposed to use the road, as well as the motorists, because the road is designed such that the pedestrian must cross and use the road. Also, that the motorist must also use the road. But put it this way: to be a pedestrian is the constant, whereas to be a motorist is what is temporary. On every occasion, a motorist will always stand to be a pedestrian, because you must then alight from your car and become a pedestrian. So there's no motorist per se that is never a pedestrian. So that's why then there's emphasis on the pedestrian, because all in all, there's nobody who has never been a pedestrian that drives a car, or a motorist who has never been a pedestrian. In any event, the use of the car is when you are in the car, but the execution of duty is all over. Even if you're a matatu driver or any other person, you will still have to turn yourself into a pedestrian. Okay.
Do the laws that protect pedestrians have limits? Are they infinite or finite?
Well, point is, as is always said, what is a right to you must be definite and is delineated. It has its own boundaries. It is within that circle of delineation that you must operate as a pedestrian. And then the next, after that boundary, the next person, who then in this time would be a motorist or another road user, must also be given the chance. So the law operates such that, one, there'll be the boundary set out, and number two, it always operates in turns, meaning once you exhaust what is available as available space to you, the next person must then use it. In the context of the Traffic Act, therefore, you begin to realize that the contextual element will be a pedestrian uses the road. Once he crosses through other traffic lights, whether the police are the ones that are giving or controlling the traffic, then the next person shall be the road user. By the way, the best place to manifest the resilience of the public in terms of conformity to the laws is at the traffic, because you have a lot of liberty to make a decision upon yourself.
Okay.
For instance, a motorist will either jump or not jump the lights, whether there are people or no people, because of its disposition.
Okay.
You begin to realize that Kenyans will always obey the laws only if there's an enforcement authority around it. And that does not just end with the traffic lights, it addresses the entire society. But contextualizing that to the traffic laws themselves, if it is time for the pedestrian to cross the road or use the road in any manner howsoever, that must be allowed, because that is the time that has been scheduled in terms of turns. Then the traffic can also move. It is also wrong for the pedestrian to cross the road when it is actually the traffic or the motorists that have been allowed to use the road.
Okay.
That in itself is what creates the societal order, because societal order is about creating the order of people using the facilities available, this time the road, and others being allowed to use the facility when the turn when it's their turn.
Okay. Let me ask you what might look like the same question, but in a different way. Where do the rights of pedestrians end in as far as the rights of motorists are concerned?
That is ordinarily what then I would call the time schedules that are set out. For instance, the police are allowed to control traffic, and they would allow the motorists to use the road, and then the pedestrian to cross. On the other hand, the designated areas and paths that are set out for pedestrians alone. Sometimes you will realize even the pathway set out for pedestrians, motorists, including motorcycles, would use that. Matatus, ordinarily, as we know them, they would leave the road because of the impatience to ferry more passengers and meet the obligations of the day and use the walkways that otherwise are used by motorists. That ordinarily is an attraction because of the fact that you need to make more money. But the point is this: the impatience of the motorists should be measured against the enforcement. If there's fear in the heart of a motorist not to abuse the liberty of use of that motorist, then the law enforcers come into place. You realize that the players in this will be the motorists, that will be the pedestrians, but also law enforcers. You see, like in Europe, because of the fact that the enforcement is almost to a fault, it's such that traffic offences are the highest regarded, and probably the ones that are most obeyed, because of the fact that the punitive measures are immediate and they are felt. So then it means that the enforcement also has a problem. In a sense.
Okay, thank you so much, Wakili. It sounds like there's someone trying to reach you on that line. We'll let you go at this moment. Thank you just for sharing your thoughts on this particular topic at this moment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.